So you don't need to pick an individual stock. You don't need to go and try to understand what its earnings are. You don't need to try to understand when should you buy the stock and when should you sell the stock. On the real estate, you don't need to go and get a mortgage. You don't need to go and actually look through Zillow. You don't need to go and try to find a tenant to rent it out. You don't need to make repairs to the roof. When it looks at things like gold, you don't have to try to figure out where am I going to store this big heavy thing of gold. You don't have to try to figure out how can I spend it. Bitcoin is taking all the best attributes of these other assets and it puts it into a digital asset that is decentralized, meaning that nobody else owns it, but it's also liquid and it's secure and it's available 24/7 and it can be sent to anyone in the world within seconds completely for free. And so I look at it less about, Bitcoin is some magic bullet. And I look at it much more as there's a problem in the world that is shared by everyone, whether you're 10 years old, 21 years old, or you're a billionaire. Every single person has the same problem, which is if you put your wealth in cash, the government is going to inflate it away. And if that's the case, then what do you need to do? You need to find a store of value. And the store of value that the entire younger generation has chosen as their preferred store of value is Bitcoin. And so from a demographic standpoint, if young people are going to store their value in there, then naturally as time passes, that asset is going to become bigger and bigger over time. Now, of course, people will say, well, real estate's been around for as long as I've lived. Real estate's been around for, centuries, or gold's been around for thousands of years. What I explain to them though is if you're under the age of 40, 50 years old, you don't know a life that isn't have fiat currency at the center of it. So the difference between, if you're, let's say 15 years old, the difference between fiat since 1971 or Bitcoin since 2009 is exactly the same time period. You don't know a difference. Both of them have been around your entire life. And so the difference between 50 years and 15 years is not that big compared to maybe a gold that's been around for thousands of years. And I think that's ultimately Bitcoin's big value proposition is it's the simple store of value, which I look at as a digital savings account. In your regular world, you have a savings account, you have a checking account, you have a brokerage account. In this digital world, I think you're gonna have a digital savings account, which is Bitcoin. You're gonna have a digital checking account, which are stable coins, and then you're gonna have a brokerage account. You're gonna go and you're gonna buy stocks, or you're gonna go buy different assets that you want to speculate on them going up in price and creating more assets for you to save in. No different than the world that we live in today. It's just the form factor changes, and I think Bitcoin will be a big winner in that world.